Speakers Bank Podcast. Our voices, our views.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Speakers Bank Podcast, Our Voices, Our Views. My name is Lynn and I'm here with Kimberly and our guest, Thea Calzoni. Nice to have you here, Thea. So we just wanted to ask you a few questions just about you as a carer. So can you share something about yourself and your family and your background about being a carer, and then also just the general things that your family does together?
Well, I suppose the first thing to say is that I've been a parent carer of a person with a disability for a long time. My son's now nearly 32. I think that it's become, I've grown to understand my son better and I can support him better. Just through knowing who he is. The early years were quite difficult because, just really challenging. But I feel that we've all succeeded, that he has succeeded an awful lot himself, and through the input of special school therapists and day service activities and other opportunities that we've had, that Julian has really learned a lot, and we've learned a lot too.
Perfect. And how, Julian, your son, so would you say you're the primary carer for Julian?
I would say that I'm the primary carer. I just want to backtrack a little bit because you wanted to know about things that we do as a family.
Yeah.
So some of the things that we do as a family is we go to parks and we go for walks together.
Mm-hmm.
Julian really enjoys seeing his sister, who doesn't live with us anymore. She's 25, and so that's really great, catching up with her. He really likes that. Another thing that we might do as a family is go walking a friend's dog. So we'll catch up with a friend and go walking their dog. These activities are quite motivating for Julian.
Perfect. And so, would you say you're the primary carer for Julian?
Yeah.
Yeah. And being the family member that has to be the carer for Julian, would you have made any other choice in leaving that responsibility to anyone else, or did you feel that that was the right decision for you?
Well, I think as the mother, where my baby was so close to me with breastfeeding and all the things that you do with a baby, and having a more intimate relationship, that it started from there really. And I think that my husband has certainly been really engaged and caring, but his approach is really different. His approach is more to stand back a bit and see how things go. My approach is more to be more engaged and to motivate and inspire as much as I can. Recently I learned to share care more with my husband because I got leukemia 6 months ago when I was in hospital, and Julian and his dad managed. They got along fine. They did things differently than the way I do them. But now I'm better. I'm back home. I think things have changed for the better. Given that they have a little bit more space, I'm able to give them a bit more space. I think I might be gradually clawing back territory though.
It's hard as a mum, isn't it?
It's
hard. As a mum and as a woman, that's just sort of our natural instinct to be, all up in everything, and
especially if you think there might be conflict. I try to avoid conflict, and I also really want to, if there's been any conflict, I think it's really important to make up very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's good. And just tell us a bit about the challenges you faced during the time as being a carer.
I suppose the challenge that I faced was to have patience, because I'm quite an impulsive person who likes a lot of variety,
Mm-hmm.
and likes to quickly move from one thing to another, and had to really just sort of stay with Julian and keep directing him, and really find it quite exhausting sometimes by the end of the day, because it's quite difficult, because he will want to talk about things or keep doing things or fiddling with things, and I feel like I'm on hand, and I find that difficult.
How do you balance that sort of your responsibilities as a carer and then your responsibilities sort of with a house, and have you had to sort of let go of, well, that can come later, or it doesn't need to be done now?
Well, yes, and also with the job. I guess it just means that, and really balancing it is sharing certain things with my husband, so that, for instance, he was a musician, so mostly worked nights as in bands, and I work days. So he's recently given up a lot of his music playing. So he is available to meet Julian's bus and so on during the day, but he's also now available in the evenings, so we can share some of the support in the evenings.
And do you feel that you as a family unit work through your challenges together?
Sometimes. I think sometimes we do, and I think that other times we have to, because they involve strong emotions sometimes, we just have to work on them separately.
Yeah.
So it's not as if, but Julian always needs reassurance, so from my point of view, Julian comes first.
Yeah.
But I have the character and the capacity within myself to be able to put aside my feelings and support him. So then it's more, that's more of the role that I would take. Whereas I think that for my husband it takes longer for him. He needs to process his feelings and take care of himself too.
Yeah, of course. And why are carers so important, Thea? And do you find that your role has a starting time and end time, or does it just roll 24 hours in a day?
I think that carers are really important, because without people who care for them, people with disability can be very isolated and vulnerable. There's over-representation of people with intellectual disability in the criminal justice system. They're also open to abuse and bullying by other people. So, and also I think their sense of themselves, their sense of confidence, probably their behaviour and their nature are also different if they don't have somebody who loves them and cares for them. Yeah. And sorry, there was another part to your question.
And do you feel that your role as a carer, does it have a start time and an end time, or do you feel that it's running constantly throughout the day?
I feel that it's, because the care of Julian is shared with the community, and with NGA's funding, he can attend various activities. So there are times when I'm a carer, and then there are other times when I need to trust his care to supporting agencies and also his dad. Yeah. So I would say that I would get him up in the morning and help him with his morning routine. Then it would be time for me to go to work. But I or my partner would see him onto his bus or take him to an activity. So for instance today, which is Thursdays, which is my day off from work, Ron takes Julian to a hip hop group that he goes to, so Ron drives him to that, and then a carer picks him up and takes him off to his gym program. So there are things like that Ron also does. Ron also takes him to gym and picks him up from his day service and takes him to gym on Tuesdays, and he doesn't actually do gym with him, but he waits for him to do that activity. So, and then I guess when I get home from work, then my caring starts again, but it's very much shared with Ron, because he prepares meals, and, does the washing. So there are lots of things that we need to share and connect with other people in the care of Julian.
And do you like that you've got that shared responsibility, so that it takes a lot more of the workload off you?
Yeah, for sure. And I also think that because Julian sleeps well at night, then that means that's another aspect of care that means we can have good rest. And I know that for some people it's really, really hard when they have a family member with a disability who doesn't sleep well and who gets up or has fits, or then the role of caring is so much more exhausting because people aren't getting good sleep.
Yeah.
And the need for support is so much greater for those families.
Perfect. And so do you have any specific strategies you've implemented so you can juggle all the different tasks and roles and hats that you wear in the family and for yourself?
I think my memory is good. I use notes on my phone a bit, so I'll put in little notes to remind me of things.
Yeah.
And just communication, really, keeping lines of communication open is really important. So I will send emails or texts to all the people that are taking care of them at various times, and just keeping on top of things and reminding people of things. I also need to be a bit of a reminder for Julian's dad, because I'm the one that's really developed my domestic memory. Yeah.
Perfect. And what would you say your message is to other carers who might find themselves in a similar situation to yourself?
I think to realise that your role is so valuable, and also to know that you won't be there forever. So it's important to embed routines, to embed opportunities to go out, even though it's hard and even though you need to use persuasion, not to leave a person just to their own electronic devices, but to make that effort, even if it means bribery or whatever it takes, to get them to come out and to do different things and to engage with lots of different people.
Perfect. Okay, thank you, Thea, for being with us here today. So that wraps up an episode of Speakers Bank Podcast, Our Voices, Our Views. Have a good day. Thank you.